Oh, here we are, episode 69, Rule of Two coming in hot. Welcome back, everybody, from your long weekend. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Marc Fernandez joining me as always. How was your big Thanksgiving, Mr. Fernandez?
It was good, man. It was good. It was good, full of food on Thursday. You know, way too much food. I mean, I'm a disaster, man. I'm eating so much.
I not only killed it on Thanksgiving, but then continued to kill it Friday, Saturday. Sunday was ridiculous. Yesterday was ridiculous. I just kept eating the pie that my fiance made for me. I keep eating that. But we are here. We are back. We are going to review episode 4 of The Mandalorian because it dropped over break. So you guys get us for this spoilers, right? We can't really go into this thing without
spoiler review
spoilers.
of The Mandalorian. We're going to give it to you guys.
Yep, we will give it there. But up top, we do want to mention this episode of Rule of Two, I should say, is brought to you by Heroes and Villains. If you want to go to heroesvillains.com. Guys, this is what's interesting. It's Cyber Monday. We checked today. Yeah. You get 35% on the website, heroesvillains.com. If you put in Rule 10, you get an additional 10%. That's 45%.
Do the math.
Do the math. You're almost getting half off of this thing just in time for Cyber Monday. But we are wearing this stuff. They have all new looks that include Batman and Joker. We have Star Trek. And, of course, the Warriors of Mandalore, the Mandalorian. Everybody's talking about it, including us.
Yeah, that's a sweet one that you got on right now. I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, this is the one I picked.
That's sweet.
I like this one. And then there's a bomber jacket, a green one that Makuga was wearing on Live earlier today.
Nice.
Josh Makuga back on the show this week for Collider Live. Shameless plug there. He was wearing this bomber jacket that's awesome. But you guys, they have all sorts of stuff. Women's clothing, men's clothing, hats, everything. This stuff is so good. So if you go to heroesvillains.com, please, on checkout, 10%, you get it off. We are having a friendly competition amongst shows. Rule of Two did so well last time. Put in Rule 10 on checkout, and you're going to get yourself some awesome stuff for Cyber Monday. And then it continues on. Rule 10 is the only code you're going to get through Collider that's going to get you a discount. So remember that, Rule 10 for Rule of Two.
And look, you know, obviously you're going to get great gear. There's a lot of cool stuff on there, but more than anything else, these guys believe in Collider.
Yeah.
These guys believe in Rule of Two. These guys believe in what we do. And if you want to support us, there's no better way to support us than to go support them.
Right.
And not just send, you know, some donation into the ether, which we always appreciate as well, but get something a little bit back out of it. You know, get yourself some gear at 45% off because it is
today. My God.
It is Cyber Monday, plus that Rule 10 gives you that extra 10?
It's 35% with 10% R code. So 45%.
45%. Yes, you can't beat
That's insane, and I wish my fiance would like a lot of Star Wars stuff because I would just spend it all there at heroesvillains.com. But back to it. Thanksgiving, good.
Episode 69, huh?
It's 69, man.
Yeah, man.
It's that number.
Yeah, we'll let you guys figure out who's the right player to.
Yeah, who would be a number 69 that you have out there? You're the sports guy. Come on, what's on the top of your head?
I don't know a good number 69.
Drop it in the chat here. We are having the Rule of Two Army in there. I will be checking it here and there throughout the show. But episode 4, entitled "Sanctuary of the Mandalorian." We can get into it right now, or do you want to mention? Are you excited at all? Not only for the rest of Mandalorian, but I want to get your feed. Rise of Skywalker, man, it's coming.
It's coming.
It's
coming soon.
Are you feeling good about it?
We have so much Star Wars going on right now that look, I'm never going to lie on this show.
No, you don't.
Okay, and I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay,
and my honest opinions.
Okay,
and again, loyal opposition. The song we've been singing from the beginning on this show. We don't have to love every single game they play, but we all have the same favorite sports team. Our team is Star Wars. We're Team Star Wars, and we love everything about it. We just sometimes, because we're so fanatical, because it is so quasi-religious and philosophical for us, we have very strong reactions to it, okay?
Yeah.
Some of them are positive, some of them are critical.
Right.
Okay, some of them might be nitpicky, and some of them, might be right on the money.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. At least it's okay for me. And look, I know that last time, even though I liked The Mandalorian. I had my critiques about it.
Sure.
And I have my critiques about this episode as well.
I do too, and I've been loving it so much lately. This episode didn't love as much.
You know, so it
happens.
it ebbs and it flows, but the dialogue will continue.
Yes.
The dialogue will continue, and we're here to have it, and we're glad that you guys are here to join us and contribute. And to that point, before we get started here, if you're sending it, I'm already seeing a few super chats coming in. We love it, but we will wait until the end of the show to answer the super chat questions. So keep them coming in. We will get to them. We'll do them all back to back in a rapid fire segment that we like calling Super Chat with Cody.
Yeah.
You know, and Cody will be there. He'll read them out and we'll answer them. And then before that, today, I think for the last 15, 20 minutes of the show, we are going to take calls.
Yeah, we'll take some calls.
If you want to come back at us and don't like our reviews, or you want to have constructive dialogue, because the first person that comes on and doesn't have constructive dialogue, Cody is quick to hit that hang up button.
That
which
is
is okay.
true.
I mean, if that's what you want to do, get hung up on, then go for it. If you want to have a discussion, we're here to have it, positive or negative. Let's have it all. And I think that's it. I think that's all my housekeeping.
That's your housekeeping, and it's like I said yesterday when I was online saying, if you want to love Star Wars, love your Star Wars, and everything in between. It's all good. I enjoy talking Star Wars with Marc Fernandez on Rule of Two because it's episode 69, Rule of Two. Rise. Ooh, and our fancy schmancy opening, Rule of Two. Here we are. If you're listening to us at home on the Collider Podcast One Jedi Council feed, thank you very much. Give us a nice review over there. That helps like you wouldn't believe. And we go live every Monday here on Collider Videos, so thank you for joining us. Let's get to it. It's episode 4 of The Mandalorian, entitled Sanctuary. The Mandalorian needs sanctuary with Baby Yoda. Again, we mentioned it up top. I have to reiterate, this is spoilers. If you haven't seen the episode, this might not be the podcast for you, the show for you yet. Watch it. Come back. Join us. Jump in the chat. Give us your questions. Your super chat we'll take at the end. But episode 4, Sanctuary. Finally, we get Gina Carano's character coming in. Cara Dune, finally. We've known she's coming. For me, as the character, she did not disappoint.
Yeah.
We can get to more of that later.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Keep doing your little intro. It's a little hot in the studio today.
It is hot.
I'm going to take this off.
Take that off.
I'll be right back.
I understand. So I will talk into the ether by myself while Marc Fernandez takes off his fancy schmancy jacket. So the episode finally did introduce Cara Dune. We've been wanting to know, how is she going to fit into the episode? We finally got our answer. And this one also felt a little bit different than in that we had the Mandalorian kind of taking a breather on a planet with Baby Yoda, finding the sanctuary, and he runs into an ex-rebel Alliance soldier. I guess she was a rebel. What did they call her? People in the chat help me out. I can't remember what they call it, but she was like a special ops for the rebels.
Yeah.
And what
She
I
was
loved,
rebel. She was
rebel. And what I loved about it is you got that little bit of a after the Battle of Endor, I was mostly on cleanup, hit missions, take out these big empire kind of things, and then it became very political for her, which was a little different than what she was used to. She liked to be in the mud. She liked to be in the action. And then here we are 7 years later after the events of Return of the Jedi. She runs into the Mando. The Mando tries to take her out, wondering who she is. She realizes he's her Baby Yoda, but there's a problem. They got some like Ravagers, whoever the hell they are in the woods there, got their hands on an AT-ST, and they're just kind of taking out that small village there. And that's kind of in a nutshell what the episode is.
Yeah.
Your take on it right away, though. Like it? Didn't like it? Lukewarm?
Look, there's a lot of thoughts about it because it's friggin' Star Wars, okay? So I have a roller coaster of thoughts about it. Shock Trooper. She was a shock trooper.
Thank you, chat.
So, and in our pre-production meeting, and yes, we're trying to have pre-production meetings so that we come into it not fact-checked, but prepped.
Prepped, what we're talking about.
Right?
Yeah.
Because what's the Boy Scout motto?
Always be prepared.
Yes. Okay. And we're trying to implement a little bit of that here on the show.
Pull that from my
First of all, that's absolutely right.
Yeah, my old Boy Scout days. I'm like, what was it?
But and Reilly brings up a great point when you're watching these episodes, okay, it's good to contextualize them in the narrative flow of the season.
Yeah.
Okay, and that affects how you like the episode or are pleased by the episode, because if it's consistent with the narrative arc that you're kind of building up to, and it adds to that arc, then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this is where we're going.
Right.
Now, in the last episode, episode 3, which I thought was great.
That's my favorite episode thus far.
My favorite is still 2. I thought 2 was awesome, but 3 I thought was very good too. It leaves you with this sort of like kind of moral cliffhanger, which is that the Mandalorian made the choice to save the kid.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Save the child.
Save the child
Yep.
over turning him over and maintaining the integrity of the bounty hunter law.
Right.
Right? Because he's not only following the Mandalorian code, okay, which he adopted. We learned that in this episode, actually.
Right.
That he adopted it when he was on,
He was essentially adopted. So we're getting some backstory
We're getting
from
some backstory. 7, 8 years old is when
Yep.
he adopted the mask or the helmet. Hasn't really taken it off in front of other people since then, because then he can't put it back on. And I actually really like that line.
Yeah.
She's like, "Can you ever take that off?" And he's like, "Yes, but I can't put it back on." You know,
It's pretty cool.
I actually thought that was very cool. But in that episode, you're now left wondering, okay, so what are the consequences of this choice? Right. So this episode picks up the episode appropriately titled Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Picks up with him trying to find a hideout, a sanctuary for him and Baby Yoda to sort of hang out and sort of
Get their bearings, maybe, right?
get the bearings, weather the storm.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he picked the planet. I think they actually showed that in exposition somehow.
Yeah, he was kind of doing the run out, and he was saying, "Oh, okay, it's like kind of Uncharted," and said, like I'm paraphrasing here, but he scans the planet, going, "Oh, there's this. It looks safe. Let's go."
Yeah. So he ends up at this planet, and again, I can't help to think that this episode reminded me if the Seven Samurai and Star Trek Insurrection had a Baby Yoda, this would be it. This would be the episode.
You totally reminded me of Insurrection. I've seen that movie once.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, they kind of at least the opening we were talking about it. We were rewatching it.
And the story is very similar. Okay, the idea of here's in a kind of utopic little community that all dress the same.
Right.
So again, a lot of these Star Trek tropes are finding their way into The Mandalorian. It's kind of unarguable. And on Disney Plus, actually, right after I watched The Mandalorian, it was suggested that I watch The Clone Wars, the movie.
Okay? Oh, you're getting that? Every time The Mandalorian ends, they want me watching Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, really? For me, they keep going to The Clone Wars.
Yeah, it keeps Empire Strikes Back. It's like, that's my favorite. Yes, I will watch it in due time.
Yeah.
You don't need to recommend it.
So I actually started watching a little bit of the Clone. I've never seen the Clone Wars. I've seen the TV series like 5 times.
Right.
But I've never seen the movie.
Oh, the movie. Oh, okay. So they're suggesting the movie.
They're suggesting the movie.
Run away, my friend. Run away.
Okay, so first of all, I saw like the first 15, 20 minutes. I was actually enjoying myself.
Were you? Okay, yeah.
But I only saw the first 15 or 20 minutes. I still haven't seen Baby Jabba the Hutt. Now, let's remember, the whole point of that movie is Baby Jabba the Hutt.
Right.
I mean, that's what the whole movie's about.
Yeah, it's Gardula the Hutt, I believe.
Is that the name?
Something like that.
Of the baby?
Yeah, about the young whippersnapper of a Hutt. I can't remember. Maybe the chat can remind me. I think that's what it is, but
yeah.
That movie is rough.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it since I saw it.
But anyway, so you are dealing with an episode that I think is very similar in tone to Star Trek when it starts out. I think it's undeniable. And the reason I brought up the Clone Wars is that I started watching the Clone Wars and I'm like, yeah, that's Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, there is no Star Trek in there. Like, even when they like, again, the humanizing the aliens thing, I think, is a very dangerous ground to tread on with Star Wars, okay? Like, as brand values, okay? Star Wars, the aliens in Star Wars are always super alien, okay? It's like a guy that, like, literally looks like he's got a long snout and, like, big teeth. They all look like Jim Henson puppets.
And they
know?
have a dialect all to their own, like
Right, which is awesome.
And the subtitles come in. I always love that about Star Wars.
Like in Star Wars, it always made you feel like you were actually in a weird cantina in a galaxy far, far away.
Right.
Because it didn't feel like outside of the humans, and there's definitely a human contingency in Star Wars. They're humans. Everybody else outside of them looks alien. You know, I mean, you have the exceptions of like the Zabrak. You know, like are very human-esque, you know?
Right.
But then you look at somebody like Darth Plagueis. Everybody's always talking Darth Plagueis, Darth Plagueis, Darth Plagueis. When you think about what Darth Plagueis looks like, he's immune.
Yeah.
And when you think about what immune looks like, immune is not something that you can do with makeup.
No. I mean,
Right? You need a prosthetic. You need like
or motion capture, do a la Snoke or a la Gollum or something like that, right?
Right,
Is that
right.
where you're going?
it's not like here's a blue face, throw a couple of gills on it,
Right.
and now you have a new species, which has always been Star Trek's thing, right? Now, Star Trek Insurrection, to me, feels a lot like this episode, right? You have a little utopic community that are being invaded by an outside force, and here comes a superior element to offer help. Also, the exact same story as the Seven Samurai.
Right. I mean, Seven Samurai got immediately.
Right. You know, here's a little village.
Yep.
Here's a bunch of bad samurais. Let's hire a good samurai
Teach them how to fight and defend.
and
Take him out.
There you go.
Yep.
So, which is okay, you know.
There's also an episode of Clone Wars that people were pointing to about this episode that they basically saw. That
Okay.
like the same thing. Anakin Skywalker. I can't remember the Clone Wars episode, the name I should say, but Anakin Skywalker on a planet teaching the natives how to basically do exactly that scene. The stick. Defend yourself. All these things people brought up on Twitter. It's like, what am I watching right now?
Yeah.
So-
You're talking about the episode with, actually, the episode that introduces
Not Saw Gerrera.
Saul Guerrero.
Was that the?
Yeah.
So yeah, that has been brought up as well. I've seen people mentioning Seven Samurai, that Clone Wars episode. This is the first time I've heard any reference to Star Trek. I didn't get it because I'm not a huge Star Trek guy. So when you mention Insurrection, a lot of people in this chat are like, you got to watch it again. It's F. Murray Abraham. I'm like, I forgot he was in it. Right. So I'm glad that we have some Star Trek love happening here. However, it didn't land with me like that. And
Yeah,
that's-
which is fine. Yeah. So
just happens.
Yeah. So look, I overall, my biggest point in all of this though is Baby Yoda is the greatest thing to happen to Star Wars since 1983.
Since 1983 when Return of the Jedi was over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I think the prequels are pretty great too, but Baby Yoda.
Whoa.
Is
Wait
that-
a minute. I just really put two and two together.
Yeah.
Here. You're putting it over the prequels.
I'm putting it over the prequels.
Holy shit.
The impact.
I'm saying it.
The
the impact is undeniable. How much? I mean, now just when you think you couldn't get more Baby Yoda memes, we have more Baby Yoda memes. Now it's now the equivalent of the sipping tea.
Right,
It's
right,
Baby Yoda. Just
of Kermit.
freaking love it.
Yeah, I mean, Baby Yoda is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that like that little Groot plant from like the second,
Guardians.
was
Yeah.
pretty good. This is another level of cute. I mean, it's just like it's unbelievable.
That scene as we are introduced to, finding this planet and everything, and they're just flying in space, Baby Yoda pressing the buttons, and then that one moment he just kind of leans back and takes a click. I mean, just effing with the Mandalorian, loved it.
It's just like no matter how. I mean, this is basically what's happening with me in the show.
Yeah.
I have a couple of realizations about this show.
Okay.
That mismatch my expectations. Okay. And I'll
Interesting.
come out and I'll say it openly here.
Okay.
Number one, I did think that The Mandalorian was going to be, again, I made the same folly that I make with Star Wars every single fucking time I watch it.
Interesting. What is this?
Okay. Which is, I think this Star Wars is going to be for me, or better yet, for an old ass man, or better yet, or nicely, an adult. Mm-hmm. It's not for adults. Star Wars is for kids.
Always has been.
Okay, always has been, and that it is what it is. And
That's why I love Star Wars, because it's supposed to bring that thing out of you.
right, it's supposed to give you those morality plays.
Morality plays that are easy to digest. Some kids, some people are going to argue immediately, well, look at the prequels. It was all about trade federations and this, and that. I would say that was for the adults a little bit more. And Lucas was trying to say something with the prequels,
Yeah.
but
Look, and Lucas is very good about showing you the boogeyman, okay, about showing you the dark side. And he's very good about romanticizing the dark side.
yeah.
And he's very good about making the dark side sexy, which can be perceived as adult type content.
Right.
But ultimately, it isn't. Ultimately, it's still, hey, let me tell like a kid a ghost story, so that you know that you shouldn't like walk into strangers' cars,
Right.
Or that you shouldn't like walk down to the cemetery at night when your parents tell you not to do it, you know,
Right.
because there might be ghosts there, you know. There, you know, over there be monsters, you know. And he's very good at doing that. But look, ultimately, The Mandalorian is also for kids,
It sure is.
okay? And I'll be honest with you, I was thinking that it wasn't going to be for kids. You know,
I thought they would look for a balance, which I think they're finding quite nicely. Actually, I think it's for kids, it's for us, and I would actually argue it's more for us than it is for kids. Although Baby Yoda is going to wipe that argument off the planet, but we are getting some very, very kind of adult kind of situations, and obviously, like we haven't gotten to the scene from the trailer where the stormtroopers' heads are on the spikes. You know,
Sure.
it's like that kind of stuff that.
but like we did see that the character get cut in half.
Yeah, it was referenced. I mean, you know exactly. You're not seeing it
Right.
actually happen, but you know.
And you see
that's
people
what
get
it is.
you see people get like evaporated,
Yeah.
but you're still not really seeing blood violence.
Well, you know, it's my sister shows the kids and loves The Mandalorian, and she's a very casual Star Wars fan, but she's showing the kids that are 7 and up. So that you could take that as however you want. That 7 years old and up, my nephews and nieces are watching this thing and they're digging it. And I think that has a lot to do with Baby Yoda for sure. But I do think that this knew exactly what it was going for, in that they were targeting us, like specifically targeting us with the feel
Yeah.
of the original trilogy, hitting all the quadrants. Hitting everything, hitting the, you know, families and kids and Baby Yoda, obviously, but we're getting, like, my fiance and my sister need Baby Yoda in their life.
Yeah, me
like,
too.
they
I need Baby Yoda in my life.
Yoda in their life. They want the plushies, the pops, the shirts, the everything. Me, I don't need the shirts or anything. I need the real Baby Yoda in my life. I want to walk and do an adventure with him. I want to be the Mandalorian walking through that restaurant that they get to right when they get and land on the planet to check things out. And he finally goes, oh, okay. And Baby Yoda accompanies him. I just was like, I want that.
Yeah.
That was so beautiful, that scene. So,
It's amazing. It's amazing.
so we could talk about Baby Yoda forever, but what did
Yeah.
you think of Gina Carano's character, Cara Dune, coming in, the ex-shock trooper for the rebellion? How did you like her character finally being a part of Episode 4?
I thought she was good.
Yeah.
I thought that she's incredibly believable as a warrior. I thought she did a good job. I wasn't a huge fan of the little, just like in Star Trek Insurrection, the little love interest between the Mandalorian and the villager.
Yeah, like the widow.
Yeah, the widow that he wants to leave Baby Yoda with. The two villagers that played the same two villagers that you get in not Seven Samurai, but in oh God, what's that other Kurosawa movie? The Hidden Fortress.
Hidden Fortress, yeah.
Yeah, so in the Hidden Fortress, you have these two characters that are identical to R2D2 and C3PO. So it's cool to see the original sort of DNA inspiration, re-inspiring content today.
Right.
I think that's an interesting take on it. I just think that, just like Walt Disney used to say, it's always about giving it the plus up. Like how do we do this plus? It's actually a very famous Walt Disney saying that is actually why they called the service Disney Plus.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's actually
interesting.
based on a Walt Disney cliche. You know, he always used to, like, it was one of his management speaks. When somebody would bring him something, they were like, "Oh, okay, this is a cool idea, but how do we plus it up?"
So how do we make it new and fresh?
Yes, and
Put it under the Disney banner.
Right.
Put it under the Disney kind of.
so it's like the whole thing with Goodfellas, right? Like, here's Goodfellas. How do we do Goodfellas plus, right? Scorsese with The Irishman. Like, how do I plus up what we did before?
Okay.
And look, we think about that too, right? You know, like even with the deepfake videos, it's like, what's next? Well, what can we? You know, there's all this stuff out there. What can we plus it up with deepfake to make it a little bit more interesting?
Right. Right.
And by the way, total tangent, but everybody who's listening, please send us at Collider Video your favorite Baby Yoda memes.
Ooh, I like this.
Okay, we're doing a Baby Yoda meme video.
Meme down.
We're doing a meme down, and please send us all your favorite Baby Yoda memes. But anyway, I thought that this episode was okay. I didn't think it was great. Okay, I want to be honest with you. I didn't think it was great.
Yeah, I watched it twice. The first viewing, I thought it was fine. I really enjoyed Gina Carano's character.
Yeah.
I enjoyed all the acting, all the effects and everything. My problem had more to do with plot. And so we know now that it's kind of finished the recap. We have those marauders that are kind of take advantage of this village.
Yeah.
Carano characters, Cara Dune and the Mando work together, teach the village to kind of fight back. They fight back. They take out the ATST, which I loved. I thought it was a nice kind of touch.
Cool action scene.
Yep, they got a hold of an ATST and they're using it. And I loved that they kind of did a Jaws thing at the beginning of the episode where you didn't know exactly what it is. You thought it was a big monster in the forest.
Right.
And that reveal happens. And then the end of the episode, we get another bounty hunter knows they're there, finds Baby Yoda, and it's not safe to be there anymore. Mando looks at the shock trooper, says, "Hey, why don't you come with me?" She's like, "No, I'm not really into that kind of thing, but I think she's going to come back." So it ends. Here's what I think. I felt like we were treading water for a little bit for the plot. I felt like we were taking a little tiny break from the through line of the series. And I think it's important to build that character, to build more interaction with Mando and Baby Yoda, that he cares for this, that he's meeting some allies. We got that with Cara Dune. But I couldn't help but think that we just kind of hit a pause button, and I'm like, who's after him?
A little bit of a filler episode.
A little bit of a filler episode. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I wanted to know, like, yes, we got that people are hunting for them, and I knew that from the end of this episode, but I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting more of the galaxy or more of whoever it is that Werner Herzog's character, who he's sending after them, who's after him, the remnants of the Imperials, obviously the Bounty Hunter Guild, all these people are after him, and he found some safety here, and I get that. But I just thought we would get more. I thought more story would be there rather than this was a detour rather than a straight shoot to the next episode.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm almost... Look, this is kind of rare on this show, but I'm almost exactly with you.
Oh, my God, we did it.
Yeah, I'm exactly with you.
69 episodes, and here we are.
Look, it was cool, and we were just actually rewatching it now to have it fresh in our mind, and it plays nice, but again, I'll go back to the biggest breakthrough that Star Wars has had in 30 years. It's like Baby Yoda, no matter what happens, Baby Yoda can overcome everything. Okay, Baby Yoda is the one.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable how warm I feel and how happy I feel with almost every single choice that they've made around Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
To me, it's like utter perfection.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Same.
mean? And I don't know if it's just like their ultimate checkmate. Like, if you don't have, look, like I can see you not loving the directing or the action, or maybe you were thinking it was going to be a little bit old school, or, like there's no Sith and no Jedi, and like you don't like Luke throwing a thing over. Like, I can see people being on sides of fences on that. Mm-hmm. How, if you don't like Baby Yoda, you have no heart, you have no soul.
Right, because, you bring up something interesting, because I really felt like the stakes for that storyline weren't really there, because Baby Yoda kind of took a back seat to them figuring out these marauders, right? It wasn't until the bounty hunter got Baby Yoda in the crosshairs literally in the crosshairs where I was like, where I felt the
Right.
stakes finally.
Right. It feels like almost everything else that's happening in the show has been so upstaged, okay, that for it to match the quality and the level of interest that the world has now,
Right.
the Star Wars like fan base has around Baby Yoda, has to be so friggin' good that like you're almost like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. Just give me more Baby Yoda. Give me more Baby Yoda.
Well, yeah, and I think it's for me. It's also the Mandalorian and that relationship. So it's like they're now one for me. Meaning, I know they're two characters, but they need to exist together for me to care as much as I do.
Yeah,
and I do care. And it's like already the chat is given a little pushback. It's just the way we landed with this episode. I freaking love this thing, but when it comes to just how it landed with me, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I like there was more stakes for me involved with the bigger story, and this, because of the Seven Samurai references, I knew where this story was going. I was like, okay, they're going to teach the villagers how to fight back.
Yeah, it was
They're going
way
to take
too
out.
You're right.
They're
It was
going
way
to
too
take out this
predictable.
thing. They're going to feel good about themselves, and then what with Baby Yoda? Like that's where I was at
Right.
with this episode. Then what?
Yeah. What are you going to lead? Like the only thing I cared about, the only choice, we always talk about choice, right?
Yeah.
In screenwriting, that's the most important thing. Scenes with choices. The choice of leaving Baby Yoda back on the planet.
Yeah, that gave me a heart attack.
Yeah, it's like, what? You're going to leave Baby Yoda?
Yeah, but I understood, and that's what I did like about this episode. I like that he's thinking that way.
absolutely.
Because it made a lot of sense in story. And then finally, when with that other bounty hunter there trying to take out Baby Yoda, I'm like, see, that's the question I had the entire time. It's like, how many, like, who's after them? And
Yeah.
I didn't believe personally that they would even last that long on that planet. You know, helping these people, and God bless you for helping them. But for me, I was immediately like, who is after them?
Right.
Like, when are we getting there? That was the main thought.
And like, why do they want him dead in the first place?
Exactly.
I'm sorry, not dead, but why do they want
Well, that's
to
the biggest
clone
question.
him?
Yes,
right.
either clone him, want him dead. What is the deal with that? All those questions around there. For me, they put Baby Yoda in the corner.
Yeah.
Nobody puts Baby in the corner.
Yeah.
What do we learn in
Yeah,
Dirty Dancing?
Baby Yoda is unbelievable.
So Baby Yoda
Unbelievable.
just took a little bit of a back seat, and I liked the action, though. I did dig the action and Cara Dune taking out, the
the
ATST,
action's all right.
and that was fun. But again, that's just the way it landed with me. Upon a second viewing, it was a lot better of an episode for me.
I agree. The second viewing was better than the first.
So I am very excited to see what happens next, because now it's like, and I know what this is doing.
Yeah.
This episode gave us the stakes that, no, there's no safe place for you.
Right.
That's what this did for me.
Yeah, that's a good
You
point.
find the planet, it looks pretty off the beaten path. There's some peaceful people there, except for the marauders in the forest. Take care of them.
Right.
And then it's like, we can settle down
Yeah.
here. And I dug everything that had to do. The Mandalorian mythology that they're uncovering each episode is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
That's why I loved episode 3 a lot more than this episode, but I did dig the fact that he's like, I will never take it off. Because if I do,
I can't put it back on.
so that stuff is interesting to me. The idea of him giving up this life and settling down with this widow she reminded me of the old widow from those westerns that was like, takes up a gun to,
Right. She's the only one that knows how to shoot.
she's the only one that know to shoot, because I know that got ruffled a lot of feathers out there, and I was like, come on, it's a western trope.
yeah, it's a total trope. Same
and
thing in the samurai films. And like
Yeah, exactly.
and I know Roka's been out there on Twitter having the fight about samurai versus
He
versus
stirred
Western.
it up out there.
And it's like they're the same. They're basically the same thing, bro.
They really are.
It's the same thing.
And for me,
yeah,
it's just-
one inspired the other one inspired the other one too.
And Star Wars it was born out of George Lucas's love for the old serial Flash Gordon, obviously,
And Kurosawa.
and Kurosawa.
Yeah.
And then I love
the
that
Hidden
there's-
Fortress, very specifically the Hidden
Right.
Fortress.
Exactly. So Star Wars is always going to pull a lot of
Yeah.
kind of inspiration from different mediums and different
Yeah.
text stuff. So
And,
I always enjoy that.
I believe that George Lucas. So for all you guys that are a little bit younger than Mark and I, which is probably like a lot of you, if you want to really dig into some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful filmmaking, I got very lucky that I saw almost all his movies when I was at NYU when I was in college, and it's the films of Akira Kurosawa. And if you really want to treat yourself to some grade A filmmaking that is literally almost impossible to critique, because the entire time you're just looking at it and you feel like it's this divine figure kind of reading you these like fairy tales. It's just absolutely gorgeous stuff. And The Hidden Fortress specifically is the movie that George Lucas credits the most with the characters in Star Wars, specifically R2-D2 and C-3PO and Han Solo.
Yep.
And Toshiro Mifune, I'm probably saying that name wrong, but he plays the character that is like Han Solo. So definitely check out those movies. And also, as George Lucas, this is another reason I love Lucas, kind of paying it back. Okay, Lucas was such a fan of Akira Kurosawa that he actually financed one of his movies towards the end of his career. Yeah. And right now, because I'm just doing this all off the top of my head, I'm not sure if it's Kagemusha or a movie called Ran. I think it's Ran. I'm like 90% sure it was Ran, which is an incredible, incredible samurai film. Super epic in scale, and George Lucas actually funded it for Akira Kurosawa. But anyway, I just went off on a whole little rant there. But
no, give that teaching, because I love that. I did the same thing at USC. I got to watch all the Kurosawa films in a class taught by Drew Casper.
Nice.
He's still around to this day.
Shout out to Drew.
Yeah, it's still around today. So, and you see these influences in here, and especially with this. Even though this is my least favorite episode, I understood why the filmmakers, Filoni, Favreau, Bryce Dallas Howard, who I thought did a phenomenal job directing this, I understand why they put it in there. Because in movies, sometimes you need that kind of breath. And especially after Episode 3, where the Mandalorian's flying, he's on the run, he makes the call, the decision. I'm taking Baby Yoda back, and I'm going to help him out, and I'm going to fly out of there. That's a moment where you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then you need the... Okay.
Yeah.
Just like the Mando was doing, I got to take a breather.
That shot where the sniper had him in his sights, man,
got me.
And like little Baby Yoda's just like staring. I thought Baby Yoda is gonna like do some force shit.
I thought so too. I thought Baby Yoda sensed it, and that's the other thing.
And he did sense it.
I think he did.
God, Baby Yoda's so fucking cute.
Baby Yoda is. That's the thing that was brilliant that you keep mentioning. But the idea of bringing Baby Yoda into this is automatically getting everybody to love this, because you immediately want to protect Baby Yoda, which is what The Mandalorian is doing, which is why I think we're so invested in it. And that's, for me, my biggest gripe. Baby Yoda was in the corner for half of that episode. And I was like, are these marauders coming?
When he's playing with the kids?
Yeah.
I mean, just everything with Baby Yoda. It's almost like, I don't know, man. The rest of the episodes are they have a lot to compete with.
Well, so let's get into that, because we're about 37 minutes into the show. We want to take some of your calls, guys, and then we'll take your super chats at the very end. Where is this going?
Someone in the chat is saying Kagemusha.
Kagemusha he funded. It's Kagemusha he funded?
Are you sure about that?
Tasty Waffle is usually pretty...
Tasty Waffle's pretty good about that.
Tasty Waffle's always been a very, very good chat guy, so thank you.
Yeah, Tasty Waffle's kind of like our unofficial fact checker, and we love you for it, Waffle. Thank you, bud.
Bruce Crawford, of course. I would F and die for Baby Yoda as well. I'm reading these comments right now.
But so Kagemusha, I believe Kagemusha is the one about the king who dies, and they find a king who looks just like him to like replace him. It's actually a very interesting storyline. Ran is the one that's based on Hamlet, I believe. But anyway, guys, watch Kurosawa, and you should figure out which one George Lucas funded, if it's Ran or Kagemusha, because Lucas didn't fund very many things.
Right.
And if you're a Lucas head, if you're a Star Wars fan, I think you owe it to the man to watch all of the stuff that he was involved with. to a certain degree, and I'm being completely hypocritical because I have not seen the Clone Wars animated feature film yet, even though I saw the first 15 minutes.
It's fine.
But the one that he funded for Kurosawa. Anyway, that's my last Kurosawa plug.
Okay. Well, hey, let's hear for the chat who knew where you're going with this and corrected you. So we got some good film.
So it is
filmmakers
Kagemusha.
here. That's what they're saying. I don't know.
It's one tasty waffle saying it. See, now somebody's saying it's Rand. It's either Kagemusha or Rand. It's one of those two. Somebody fact check it.
George Lucas funded Kurosawa. Let me see. I got Akira Kurosawa. It's too long. I'm going to take away from the show looking for this. So, guys, thank you for that in the chat. Why don't we? Do you want to open up some calls for this?
Let's open it up.
You can.
We got
looks
one
like we got a caller
we got
right
one
now.
in there.
Hey, you're on Rule of Two. What's your name? What's your question?
Hey guys, this is Jake from Diamond Bar.
Hey, Jake. How you doing?
What's up, Jake?
Pretty good, pretty good. No, I totally agree with you guys. I felt this episode was more just kind of slower paced than all the others. I did enjoy it. But
Yeah.
it's definitely on my bottom of the past three.
Yeah. Same here.
I enjoyed it too.
Yeah, and we're not saying we didn't enjoy it. I
Yeah.
think it just we felt something, and I think,
Look, I think
maybe it is just putting taking the breath, as it were.
I guess my only beef with all this, Jake. I'm sorry, is that your name, Jake?
Yes.
Yeah. So my only beef with all this, Jake, is that I think it's okay to critique Star Wars.
We gotta get away from the, like, I call it the gatekeeping. Like, you can't have this, and also on the other end of the spectrum is like, oh, you're a shill, you like it.
No,
like,
it's
come
like
on.
we love Star Wars.
We
That's
love
already
Star
a
Wars.
given.
Jake.
And we're doing a friggin' podcast about it every Monday at 5 p.m.
Exactly.
We love Star Wars.
So we have our thoughts, but Jake, where do you see this episode? You felt you landed with us kind of on the episode itself. Where do you see what's next episode for you? What do you want to see?
I just want to see more of Mandalorian and Baby Yoda interacting together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Give it to me all day.
That was my favorite part of the whole series.
Yeah. Thank you for the call, Jake. I really
thank
appreciate
you for the call, buddy.
I'm with you. I think for next episode, we're probably going to finally... Giancarlo Esposito's character has been touted very much in the
Where is
marketing.
he?
I think he's coming.
He's coming.
He's got some Death Troopers with him.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's interesting. That's where I was like, well, he's got to show up now, right? Because something is tied to the remnants of the Empire with this creature.
Yeah.
And they want this MFer. So I think that we're going to see now, almost it feels like we must be on like a roller coaster in hell. We're going to be going to the conclusion of whatever this is.
Yeah, yeah.
We should be, at least.
And like you have to understand that so Thanksgiving came around, okay? Then it was Friday, all right? Then I'm going to watch it on my projector, so I wanted it to be as dark as possible, even though my projector's pretty good in the daytime. I wanted it to be as dark as possible.
Yeah, man.
Okay? And look, I'll be honest with you guys, okay? Weed is legal in California.
Sure
All
is.
right? And I hit a little doober, okay? And I know people get mad at me for saying that sometimes, but I hit a little doober, turned off the lights, put the projector on on its best settings, and I'm watching this thing and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Okay? And every time Baby Yoda's on the screen, I'm thinking to myself, this is the most amazing Star Wars overdose you can ever have. I mean, he's everything about Star Wars, right? He's funny, he's cute, he communicates without words. So that means he's operating on a higher level of storytelling, right? He's obviously pure goodness. Right? There's obviously not a bad bone in his body. There's obviously a naive kind of natural wisdom to this little entity that's just indescribable. I mean, like, it's a huge risk. You got to remember that George Lucas never, ever, ever, ever allowed people to use this creature, this species, in any of the work that he would license out. Like you couldn't expand on the story. It's only happened a few times. In Knights of the Old Republic in KOTOR, you're actually trained by a Yoda species. That's not Yoda.
Oh, right.
That's not Yaddle or Yaddle.
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 Mm-hmm.
It's not the other one. There's another one called Yinch or something like that. I forget the other one. There's 3 in canon.
Well, he almost called him Minch Yoda. That was his original name for the creation of the.
Okay, because I think there is a character called Minch.
See,
or
I remember
Yinch.
he called him Minch. Yeah, it was Minch Yoda at one point for the Empire Strikes Back version, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so he's protected this character or this species extremely tightly.
Mm-hmm.
He allowed KOTOR, and I think it shows up in some other like EU stuff where I believe there's one that's even kind of like a gray Jedi type of thing.
Okay.
That's like not good or bad, kind of in the middle. But man, so it's a risky move.
Right.
And it's one that could have fallen flat. Okay? Like throwing a lightsaber over your shoulder for me.
Right.
It was a risky move. I'll give you credit for that. For me, it fell flat.
Right.
This thing about giving us a true new hope in this beautiful little tiny perfect little creature that looks like Yoda, it's just like, it makes me want to fucking die, dude.
There's something to be said about there are certain feelings we have. Like with Jaws, you're tapping into the primal nature of what scares you underneath the ocean, what you can't see, right? And with Baby Yoda, I think it's a very similar thing, but that primal nature is to protect at all cost. You see a child, you see a baby, you see a puppy, a cat. Your instinct, unless you're is to protect, right? And that's what this is. Baby Yoda shows up. Everybody watching at home is, you have to protect that, right? And that's what this is, and I think it plays beautifully. So
Yeah.
it was a great call. If we have any others, we do have another. It's you're on Rule of Two. What's your name? What's your question?
Yeah, this is Johnny Graver.
Hey, Johnny.
How you doing, Mr. Riley?
Hey, good to hear from you. How are you?
Good. I'm the small little blonde guy at the hotel bar at Celebration.
That's right. Hey,
What's up? What's up, Johnny?
Good guy. Bought us so many drinks at
did he?
Celebration.
Oh,
So
okay,
good to
good,
have you on the
good.
line. What is your question
I
today?
may have had one or two already. But
Yeah,
I got
good.
two quick things. Well, when Yoda meets Luke in Empire, he plays, for the lack of a better term, the fool.
Yeah.
What if Baby Yoda, being 50 years old, can communicate and talk and is just kind of feeling out the Mandalorian because he's only been with him for, what, a week or so?
Sure.
Totally viable. I was actually thinking the same exact thing.
You know, it's a great call. Thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it. And thank you for all those drinks back at Celebrations in April. That was a lot of fun.
It's a very viable point of view.
This is interesting, too, because I can buy that 100% with that opening scene when they're flying in space. Baby Yoda knows exactly what he's doing, at least in that moment. He knows he's effing with Mando. He's like, don't touch those. And he goes,
Yeah, it's amazing.
bing, and turns it on, and it's hysterical because I saw all the character of a child, so to speak. And I know everybody in the chat, I see it. Yes, he's 50 years old right now, but these species age differently.
Yeah,
and
but he's testing him. He's definitely testing him.
He's very intelligent. We know that. I'm also seeing, I believe, Thrawn, you put it out there, that in Legends there were 5 or 6 of Yoda's species. In canon, there are only Yoda, Yaddle, and the asset, the child. So we have 3 right now, canon-wise. Thank you, Thrawn. So
there's only 3 in canon.
In canon.
See, I thought there was 3 in canon before the asset.
Yeah. This is, I'm going off
Yeah,
of Thrawn 2K5.
Yeah.
Who's
one
an
of our
awesome
fact
guy,
checkers.
one of our fact checkers.
Yeah, man. Fact checkers.
One of our
shout out to
Collider
fact
Live
checkers.
boys. Thank you for that, Thrawn. I believe that that's 3, and that's all we have. So it'll be interesting to see what and how it fits into next episode. And I'm wondering when Baby Yoda might just unleash the Force on some of these people coming after him. That's what I think we're building to that.
Like a real show of power.
Real show of power. I think it's going to happen. You mark my words. I feel like we are getting to a point where the Mando and his allies are going to be completely overwhelmed, much like it happened with the Mudhorn, and he stopped it. But I think Baby Yoda is going to do an awesome show of power to kind of show just how much Force sensitivity, midichlorians, however, whatever they call it. But I think that we're going to get a really good showing of the Force.
Yeah,
from
look,
this
and I'm
thing.
here for it.
I'm all here for it. So we have another call. Hey, you're on Rule of Two. What's your name? What's your question?
Hey, this is Nathan from Houston, Texas.
Hey, Nathan from Houston, Texas. How are you? What's your
up,
question?
man? Congrats on that win against the Patriots.
Yeah.
Yes, I love Deshaun Watson. Heck yeah, we beat Brady.
Yeah.
Hells yeah.
My question is, do you guys think, or my theory is, do you think that the person that saved the Mandalorian, or his name is Din Djarin, do you believe, or do you think that the person that saved him was Ahsoka Tano or Sabine, who's also a Mandalorian?
Hold on, when? I'm sorry, give me more.
This is for the flashback scenes of the Mandalorian actually being saved.
Oh, yeah.
Because we did see, we did have like a Clone Wars droid, like, kind of put him in target, and then every time he goes to fashion his armor, and they're doing that with all the heat and the metal and everything, it kind of gets the flashbacks going with them. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to connect a character from canon that we've seen in other mediums, whether it's from the movies or the series like Ahsoka. So it's a good question. I don't know.
I think actually, first of all, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I don't know. Maybe Sabine saving him when he was younger, since she is a Mandalorian as well. But then the time frame between that doesn't add up, since she's a lot younger when Rebels started.
Right.
But I do think Ahsoka maybe could have saved him, and I also think at the end of season 1, maybe we might see Ahsoka being given the young Yoda.
That is okay. I started to go there. Great call. Thank you very much for calling in. I got to talk about that. I wonder. It just clicked in with me. We got Filoni and Favreau here, who are very aware of fans, very aware of theories. They connect everything very beautifully in canon. I wonder if Ahsoka Tano could be showing up, and that was Dave Filoni's kind of purpose. One of the main things they wanted to do with Mandalorian would be maybe to introduce a live-action Ahsoka. However, that is a big. That's a big fan service moment. I'm not saying it's wrong to use fan service, but that would break the internet. You talk about Baby Yoda entering the picture here. If Ahsoka Tano live action walks in at the end of Mandalorian and says, "I was the one who saved you," I think the internet would blow up on it. And I could see it happening. I would love to see it happen, but I don't know yet as far as story.
What if in Rise of Skywalker, Baby Yoda somehow shows up as adult Yoda? Well, not adult. I mean, it would only be, 40 more years?
Yeah, it would be about 40 years. So he's not 900 years old like Yoda was. So he'd be about 100 years old when he'd show up in Rise. So I guess, is that in teenage years, or is he fully matured?
Unless we're getting set up for the worst thing that could ever happen, which is that Baby Yoda is not going to make it.
See, that's where I was going, man.
You don't think he's going to make it, right?
I was going there. Why? Because where's Baby Yoda in all this Rise of Skywalker new sequel trilogy?
I mean,
they could do it.
Those people don't know what the hell's going on either.
Well, we got J.J. Abrams back, so am I going to have to get defensive here? I'm going to get defensive here.
It's all good.
We don't know. They don't know what they're doing yet until we see the rise of fucking Skywalker.
Which is in 2 weeks, right?
Yes, in 2 weeks. That's right. We're going to get all the answers. And all of you out there yelling and screaming about the movies, you can finally watch a movie and either like it or leave. It doesn't matter. There's no in between. If you don't like it, then fine. See ya. Let me enjoy it.
Yes.
Oh, my God. I want to do a little tiny rant there.
We got a call. We got a caller.
We got a call here on Ruler 2. What's your name? What's your question?
Hi, it's Chris from Torrance.
Hey, Chris from Torrance. And how are you today? What's your question?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. 2 quick things and a quick question.
Okay.
One, I've been loving The Mandalorian so far. I have had very little complaints, and I enjoyed episode 4. Maybe not the best, but still a good episode.
Okay, great.
And actually, I rewatched the prequels recently.
Nice.
Being someone who was kind of on the fence on them. And going back, I was surprised how much I enjoyed them. There was a lot there that I didn't recognize when I watched them when they first came out. And I'm like, you know what? These are really good, actually. There's a lot of great things here.
Look, and Star Wars has that magic to it. I mean, I even tried rewatching, like I said, The Last Jedi like a few weeks ago. I talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
And I was reminded about how much I actually enjoy the scenes with Kylo and Rey in it. Like I legit enjoy those scenes. Like I'm like, wow, this is really, really cool. And I rewatched a little bit of the end again recently because I loved Knives Out. I thought Knives Out was excellent.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that.
And to try to find a little bit of that charm in there. So I totally hear you. Star Wars is good like that. You can go back to things and look at them with different eyes relative to where you are psychologically, you know?
Yeah, I've been saying it for years now doing this Star Wars stuff. The prequels didn't land with me when I first saw them. They've only come around for me, and I appreciate them so much more now because of the story and how deep like I see it go, and all this. When the sequel trilogy was announced, I went back and immediately watched all the films.
Sure.
Because I just got excited.
That's
and
what I'm doing right now.
Yeah,
actually.
and it's funny because I've been wanting more prequel love in the sequels.
Yeah, you should try that Josh Robert Thompson trick of watching at least parts of it in high contrast, black and white. Especially with the prequels,
Fun.
It gives it a really interesting look of I think the intention of it. But anyway, man, thank you very much for your call, buddy.
Oh yeah, we let him go. So I was like waiting for something more. Yeah, thank you for that call. I'm glad people go back, and I hope to God it happens with these sequels.
Yeah.
I really do. I hope that years from now people will go back, and you don't have to like The Last Jedi 20 years from now, but I really hope coming back that there's some love given to him, because whether you want to believe it or not, these sequel trilogy movies are people's very first introduction to Star Wars.
Yeah. So look, we're starting to run out of time because
Yeah.
we want to get to your super chat questions. So if there's another call, we'll take it, but we'll only take one more.
And if not,
there it is.
We'll take one more call, and then after this call, we will take your super chat questions. Cody, you can cue that up. But as of now, you're on Rule of Two. What's your question?
Hey, so my question is more so for the future of the Mandalorian. I think that I think it makes sense for Bo-Katan to show up because she's alive.
Yeah.
But I think especially after Episode 3, when you see the Mandalorians kind of helping them out and standing for something, I think the future of the show could be the Mandalorian referring to them as a people, not just him.
I love that. Okay, so Bo-Katan was introduced in the Clone Wars, and I think we're going to get a lot of those. I think we're going to get characters from those Clone Wars, those Mandalorians appearing in this somewhere.
You know who the main Star Wars, Jesus. I'm going to get killed for that.
Yeah, you're going to get killed.
I'm going to get killed for that.
Oh, shit.
But
Here's the
sorry
chat.
about
God.
that.
Oh, my God.
Sorry,
Oh, crap.
Sorry about that, caller. But the main Star Wars character in Clone Wars that interacts with the Mandalorians is Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard a lot of little chatter out there. Is it possible that, look, going Baby Yoda was a gigantic risk. What's the only risk that's bigger than that? Is actually bringing one of the canon pillars into the Mandalorian for some kind of appearance. And what a better way to dovetail one show into the other than to give you a little Obi-Wan Kenobi action in the final and talk about leaving Baby Yoda with somebody.
You're talking about leaving Baby Yoda with Force Ghost Obi-Wan.
Oh, because he's already
Obi-Wan be dead.
Long gone.
But hey, man,
long gone.
No. I was with you.
Yeah.
Force Ghost Obi-Wan.
No. You're right. It's total crap.
It
Total crap.
could work.
It's just
though.
the aesthetic of the show reminds me so much of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
That I keep putting it as the sequel to Clone Wars, and I keep forgetting that it's actually after Return of the Jedi. I keep thinking of it in between Sith and New Hope.
I think it's because they've put all of their stories there.
Yeah.
Every single
You're
Star
right, you're
Wars
right.
spin-off,
You're right.
if you think about it, has been set
You're
between Sith and New Hope.
I'm
So
sorry,
thank
caller, you
God
still
we're
there?
getting this.
Yes, I am.
So I'm sorry. Close out your point there. I think we cut you off there at the end.
Oh, no. So because I think it's such a huge moment for them as a people to stand for something specific, I think the show could almost see them coming together, and I think the Mandalorian can refer to a people, not just a person.
Right,
and I think we'll see a lot more main characters within the Mandalorians. I know it's cool to see, Jon Favreau's voice real quick,
Right.
but I don't think he's going to be the only guy we follow for as often as we do come season 2, season 3.
Let me ask
Keep
you
in
a
mind,
question.
Filoni-
Let me
Yeah, go ahead.
ask you a question. What do you think happens with Baby Yoda this season? How does Baby Yoda's story end this season? Not in the whole context of the show. It's already been renewed for a second season. We already know that. What happens to Baby Yoda this season in your eyes?
So that actually plays into my kind of Bo-Katan theory. I think that as the word spreads that, there's this Mandalorian trying to do some good, I think that's what inspires the Mandalorians as a people to kind of corral around him. And so I think his journey at the end of this season kind of continues where he is now, only now he's protected by a people.
Okay, so you think
I have a big theory that a baby Yoda head is going to end up being his signet.
Ooh,
I think
that's interesting. I like that.
Yeah, like a big Yoda head on his shoulder.
That's interesting because he does have the thing about the signet. He was going to use the tusk, the horn figure, but then he says he can't because he was helped in combat by somebody, by an enemy. He refers to him as an enemy. And it is little baby Yoda. That's a great theory, man. Thank you so much for your call.
Thank you for that call. I love that. There's so many possibilities for this on how it's going to wrap up, how we're going to see the season 1 finale, how it's going to set up season 2, which has been announced. So,
yeah.
But I think you're going to see some characters from Clone Wars, especially Mandalorians, appear in this series sooner or later. We're going to get some crossover. I just don't know when that is or how. And that's why I was like, get there. This little side adventure. I was like, okay, cool, but I want to get to more.
Yeah, it's also interesting because that whole idea of the fact the show takes place after Return of the Jedi and not after Revenge of the Sith. There hasn't really been anything in the show outside of what I loved with Werner Herzog and the sort of like defunct
the remnants of the Empire.
Of the troopers that are around him with like dirty, armor and stuff like that. There hasn't really been a lot to contextualize it into post-Empire.
Right. That's why I wanted more. That's why I keep wanting more. But that's a good thing. That's actually guess what? Disney Plus, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni. You've been doing exactly what you wanted to do. You get me wanting more. Everybody wants more.
Everybody wants more.
What's happening in the next episode? And we'll get there.
The show, Rule of Two, is about having debate about Star Wars.
Yep.
It is about critiquing Star Wars. It's something
that we love. Be that. We're going to go down those rabbit holes that inevitably lead to critiques and what I liked and what you liked and what I didn't like and what you didn't like. So with that, why don't we take your super chat questions as we wrap up this episode?
We'll
Cody
end
Hall.
it strong. We'll end it strong. But before we go there, should we give it a rating or something? So look, 2 things, housekeeping. So we are only doing this review because the episode fell in the Thanksgiving holidays.
Yep.
And Ken and company were not able to do the review.
Yep. Everybody was out of town. So
the Mandalorian reviews are being done by Ken and Co. So you guys don't have to worry about Reilly and I getting into a debate about the next episode.
Right.
You can tune in on Friday to watch Ken Knapsack and company review the show the way that you guys all love.
Yep.
We're doing it this week because we have to.
We wanted to get it out there.
We wanted to get it out there.
And you guys do join us here every Monday at 5 p.m. PST for a live show on Collider Video. My score is 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Yeah, 8 out of 10.
We're doing out of 10?
Yeah.
Give me another 8 out of 10 equivalent, just so I see how good.
I would put the first episode at an 8 out of 10 as well, which was my least favorite, and I would put a 10 out of 10 for 3.
Okay.
And a 9 out of 10 for the second episode.
Okay. So
I've loved them that much.
The third one was perfection for you.
Third one was perfection for me. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say absolutely.
All right, fair enough.
I freaking loved it.
So based on 10 out of 10 being perfection, I would give this episode, I'd say a 6.5.
6.5.
Yeah.
All right.
So better than I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
You know, there was a few moments in it where, like you said, I saw it coming from a mile away. And when you can predict everything happening, it becomes less interesting.
Yeah.
Because, your mind is no longer creating new nodes, new pathways in between thoughts.
Okay.
It's thoughts that you've had before. But it reinforced in my mind how powerful Baby Yoda really is as a cultural icon.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing your scores in here. I see a 6.5. I see a 7, a 7.3. I see a 6.5, an 8, an 8.5. That's great. Thank you for joining us here on Rule of Two on a Monday. Cody Hall, what do we got as far as Super Chat?
All right, we got about 6 questions. First one's a quick one. Ryan C. just wants us to bring back Captain Learning. Okay,
yes!
Moving on.
I saw that. I wanted to talk about it. Thank you, Captain Learning.
Yeah. So for those folks that don't know, Captain Learning was created by Josh McCouga, Marc Reilly, and Ken Knapsack. And it was something that we did maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah. It was,
I loved it. I absolutely
I know
loved
you
it.
did.
I
Out of all
loved
the, my boss sitting across the table here loved it.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great.
We did. We all loved it. Audience, not so much.
Yeah, the audience hated all over it, but
yeah, except for this wonderful super chat patron here who sent us that. But there is some love for
maybe one day we will
Captain
bring it
Learning.
back.
Yeah. All right.
All right, up next, Sean Carvalho says, do you guys think we'll find out more about Yoda's species and its history?
Yes, absolutely.
We have to.
I think that's we're getting there. We're going to have to. There's so many questions. Why is it force sensitive? Why do they want with him? I think we're going to learn a lot about it, and I wouldn't be surprised if a character from canon, whether it's books or the movies, who knew of Yoda, enters into the episode to kind of share that exposition. Yeah. You know what I mean? Something that knows about Yoda as a Jedi Master.
Yeah.
Somebody that's the perfect way in.
You gotta explain the whole species. And look, sooner or later you're gonna have to connect it to Yoda himself.
Right. Exactly. So great question.
Yeah.
All right. Jaime says, is it possible that Baby Yoda ends up with the Skywalkers and they're inspired to open a Jedi Academy?
Dude, you may laugh.
Great.
You may laugh.
That's great.
There is
it feels
a thought.
like Cody wrote that question.
No, man. I've been thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
What if the Mandalorian hands it off to one Luke Skywalker? I could see it happening, my friend.
There's never going to be a handoff. I idiotically said Obi-Wan Kenobi, which obviously can't happen.
Well,
but maybe
I'm
it is.
wondering.
But maybe Luke Skywalker would be the natural choice.
If you want to give me a season finale and you want to hype this thing, you mention Luke Skywalker, you bring in Mark Hamill and you do some de-aging for that episode in particular, and you hand him off.
You just sold
and that's
2 million more subscriptions.
Exactly. I could see it happening. I don't know if they'll go there, but you know me and my Luke Skywalker, I want him. Always.
Right.
So that could be cool.
To me, that's why I'm so obsessed with Baby Yoda. And I don't think I've actually done a good job of articulating why. And it's because Baby Yoda, for the first time since forever, is there something about Star Wars that has legs that are much bigger than what you see on screen.
Right.
You know, because right now, Baby Yoda, I mean, the ramifications of Baby Yoda are just so difficult to even explain that I'm getting lost in my own thoughts. I'm going to think about this week and next week, which was going to be today's show, but we did the review instead.
Right.
Was, how cute is Baby, or is Baby Yoda perfect?
Yeah.
Because I think he's tickling perfection.
He is tickling perfection.
Yeah.
All right, what's the next one, Cody?
Stephen Thomas says, with the limited episode count and length, do you think the focus of the show is a little meandering at times? I liked episode 4, but there's no time for filler.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
It's a good question.
Well-written question.
It's the first time I felt it meander, for me at least, because, again, of everything I said at the beginning of the episode. Baby Yoda was put in the corner. What does that mean for the bigger picture of the story? Who's after him? What allies are we getting? And this felt like a detour from that. So I didn't find any of the episodes meandering until this one. It's a good point. I mean, we have short episodes. They seem to be getting longer. So I don't know.
But we have to remember the ultimate brand value of Star Wars, which is that it's for kids.
Yeah.
And George Lucas told me this, and he's told us all this 100 times, and we never want to believe him. Star Wars is made for 12-year-olds.
Right.
It's just there's nothing you can really do about it. It's a first communion. It's a bar mitzvah. It's any of these ritualistic rites of passage that are supposed to teach young men and young women how to become adults. That's what Star Wars is. It's that rite of passage story. So everything up on screen is intended to inform that maturation process from being like an adolescent to an adult.
Right.
And when you look at it through that lens, and you look at this episode, you can see what purpose it serves in the context of expanding the Star Wars universe. And from that perspective, I really enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
From my sort of old man, I want to see gritty, great, compelling stuff that pushes the art of cinema forward.
Right.
It's not doing that outside of Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I get it. All right, Cody, what's next?
Max Bishop says, felt episode 4 was the weakest so far. Felt like filler, which is a bummer given that there's only 8 episodes. Also found it a bit disconcerting that Werner is only credited with 2 episodes. Is it possible his story is over?
Oh, God, I didn't know that.
hope not.
I hope not. I've seen you in the chat here wanting more Werner Herzog. I want the same. I hope not. I don't think so. I think it might be a bait and switch that they're not putting it out there, that certain actors are a part of this because they want the surprise to be there. You can do that. I think Werner Herzog is too important of a character that they introduced.
He was so good.
So if he's not in the rest of the season, I think he'll definitely be back for season 2. But yeah, for everything that you mentioned about, filler, a little meandering, I see it in the chat. That's they were building something. We were taking a breather. Now let's get to next episode because I know it's going to be more.
Man, I don't even want to think about a world that exists where Werner Herzog isn't coming back for another episode. There's no way that's happening.
I agree. I think he's coming back
there's no
for
way that's
sure.
happening.
Cody, is that all?
We got one more from Trev who says, does Boba Fett show up, and if so, how?
Boba Fett, I think, shows up.
You do?
Yeah, I think he's going to show up.
I think Boba Fett's cooked.
How? I have no idea. But I can see him having jumped out of the Sarlacc somehow. I think he has a new outfit, possibly. And I think that he probably is a bounty hunter still. And the Mando's going to run across him. And I think probably Boba Fett has a fob for Baby Yoda.
Look, and if Boba Fett shows up, it's got to be the actor who plays him in the Clone Wars.
It's got to be Tamara Morrison.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's got to be him. And I don't know if they're going to put him in the show.
Yeah.
We would have probably heard about it. Maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, there's definitely some big twists coming at the end.
Yeah, I think that there will be. And I do believe Boba Fett will come back.
Who's directing the next episode? Do you know?
I don't know, actually.
And like, by the way, shout outs to Bryce Dallas Howard, who did a great job, I think, as a director on this, on this episode. And you can tell that she was very much in love with the shots. Like I think it might have been her directorial debut.
I think she directed a Black Mirror episode. I think she's directed before.
Okay. So
first one in the Star Wars universe. So
yeah, definitely first one in Star Wars. And I thought she did a good job.
So we're at 4. We have 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we have 4 more episodes left. I know Rick Famuyiwa is directing one. Deborah Chow is directing another one. Taika Waititi directs the season finale. And I think it's either Deborah Chow or Rick Famuyiwa that have 2 left, but I don't know. So I'm not looking it up. It was just off the top of my head.
But I also think that this is a calculated risk on Star Wars' part, on Lucasfilm's part, saying, like, we don't need Boba Fett. We just need somebody in a suit that looks just like him. And over time, people will stop thinking about Boba Fett and will start associating this new guy in the suit, the Mandalorian, as the Boba Fett.
Yeah.
It's called it's actually a concept that's known as the precession of the simulacrum. Okay, which you start relating to the copy more than the original.
Oh, I like that.
You know, so it's like.
Well, you've said that. Yeah, the IG-11 and the Mandalorian is basically Boba Fett and IG-88.
Right. It's like when I was growing up as a kid and I would see Randy Quaid doing his imitation of Ronald Reagan, I would start to relate to Ronald Reagan through Randy Quaid's impression more than Ronald Reagan, right? It's the precision of simulacrum. It's something that's, it happens with all kinds of stuff. Like, relating to James Dean just by the 5 or 6 images that we know of him versus like all the stuff that was actually out there of him. Yeah. So you start relating to the things that are mediated to you the most.
Yeah, I get it.
We all love that armor.
Right.
We associate it with Boba. Then we had Jango. So now we had Boba and Jango. And now we got this Mandalorian dude. He's the carrier of the armor. There's going to be no mention of Boba Fett throughout this entire show.
I think you're wrong, actually. I think Boba Fett's coming in, and he's not going to have the armor because the Sarlacc sucked it all off. Right. Because of it, it can digest it over. But it will be the actor. But the actor will be there. Tamara Morrison will show up in a version of the armor. It will be Boba Fett
this season, because I'm ready to make a bet on it.
This season, I think I can't say season 1 because I don't know.
So
how
it's not a good bet then.
Season 2 for sure. I think.
All right, fine. Season 2, then when season 2 rolls around, we'll do a bet.
We'll do a bet. All right. Sounds good. And if he shows up season 1, then I should have bet you. But
yeah,
I think he
you
will.
could have gotten a free lunch out of it.
Yeah. Ooh, free lunch. I like that. I think he's going to show up, though. But I just don't see how in season 1. Well, I said it.
Do you want to do a pizza rev? You want to do a pizza rev on it?
Pizza rev on it. Okay, let's do season 1. Boba Fett is appearing sometime season 1. He's still a bounty hunter, and he's going to be going after Yoda.
Okay,
Baby
so we'll
Yoda.
do a straight up any pizza you want at Pizza Rev.
Pizza rev, okay.
With any toppings.
Any topping, same here. Yep.
Okay. And I'm going to say no. He's
Okay.
not showing up at all. You say yes.
I say yes.
Okay.
For season 1. All right, that's a bet.
All right, so
Let's do
everybody
it.
down in the comments, who do you got on this bet? Do you got me saying no way, no how?
Bet, yep.
Or do you got Marc Reilly putting a
Saying-
Pizza Rev on the line?
Pizza Rev on the line, Boba Fett, Boba Fett. B character Boba Fett will show up season 1. I went against my better judgment and said to make it interesting, let's do the bet. He appears in season 1 when I really think he's going to be in season 2. But
Right. But you
There
believe
it
in
is.
your, it's only a pizza.
I believe that Boba
It's only
Fett.
a pizza.
Yeah, I believe Boba Fett will show up in this thing because I think the fans have been clamoring too much, and I think they're going to make a mention or they're going to wrap up his story.
Yeah.
Because it's like nobody can accept that the guy was eaten by a Sarlacc, so we got to figure this out.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that is going to do it. That is your episode 69 of Rule of 2. Thank you for joining us. And again, this episode was sponsored by heroesvillains.com. Go there, put in Rule 10 on checkout. You get 10% off. And if you do it today, you still have time. It's Cyber Monday. You can get up to 45% off your order. That's 10 with Rule 10 at checkout because they're already having 35% off over there.
So 45% off. Get it. Support.
Get it.
Heroes and Villains. Get some good swag and support Collider.
No and in there. Remember, it's heroesvillains.com. Check it out. All the new stuff. They have new Star Trek stuff, Batman and Joker stuff, and of course, Mandalorian. It's all awesome. I'm wearing it now. But to you guys.
I was wearing it, but I got a little bit hot.
Yeah, it was hot in here. So thank you very much for joining us here on this episode 69 of Rule of 2. We'll be back next week with an all-new episode at 5 p.m. PST on Collider Video. See you then.
Rise.